It was the first day of school, in a city I, Debbie Smith, was quite unfamiliar with. Mother. It's bad enough that my father is gunned down at the nightclub he owned. But to be dragged away from Tulsa to live in Fort Worth. I miss my friends already. I'm sorry, Debbie, but this is for your own protection. The same killers who took down your father also made threats against me. And you. Until those killers are brought to justice, I can't risk them finding us. That's why we left so quickly. And also why you made me shut down my social media accounts, eh? Now I feel like a nobody. You don't need those accounts yet, and I won't let you establish new ones until you are legally an adult. Now get ready for school. You don't want to be late on your first day, and so with bitter reluctance, I prepared for what I thought would be hell for me. Good morning, class. I am Mrs. Carla Hernandez, and I will be your history teacher. For you 7th graders, I will be teaching American history from the 1600s to the time of the American Civil War.
Is this your first day here too? I'm Samir Arya. My parents are immigrants from India.
Interesting. My mother and I just arrived here from Tulsa. I feel like a fish out of water. But your parents must have had it much worse.
True, but at least we have a better life here. My parents told me that they were fearful of the threat posed against them by India's neighboring country, Pakistan, so they wanted to move to a safer place. Plus, they converted to Christianity and wanted to live with other Christians.
I see. So, what about your other relatives? Were they Hindu?
Yes, but we have no contact with them.
Hello. May I sit with you? Sure. Have a seat. You look familiar. But I don't think I've seen you before. I dress up like my mother Jessica's favorite rock star, Lizzie Bordedup, who she was a huge fan of when she was herself a teen. I was even named after Lizzie, sort of. My full name is Carrie Elizabeth Sims. But you can just call me Carrie. Maybe I should just call you Cutie Pie, eh? Are you flirting with me? You haven't even told me your name yet. Oh, sorry. My name is Debbie Smith. Are you also in 7th grade? Yes, though it seems we have no classes in common. Yet. How about we swap phone numbers so we can text each other? I don't have a cell phone of my own. We do have a landline, though. Maybe you can call that. How primitive.
Good afternoon. I am Fred Florence, the science teacher. For you 7th graders, we will be studying geology, the science of the earth, including looking at rock formations, how weather patterns and the flow of water affect the earth, the importance of minerals and fuel sources that can be dug up and used by industries, and the preservation and discovery of fossil remains of organisms.
Hello. I'm Debbie Smith. What's your name? I'm Ophelia May. Nice to meet you.
Hey, what are you? A ghost? I wouldn't want you haunting my nightmares, that's for sure.
What the hell? Not again. Someone is always treating me like a freak. Just because I am albino. I and my parents came here from Africa because some of our own neighbors wanted to kill me. That's horrible. Samir is himself the son of immigrants from India. How would he feel if people treated his parents like freaks? Exactly. Plus he himself looks like a total nerd.
Kids, enough of that chit-chat. Now open your textbooks to page 1 to begin.
So the girl was being insulted because of her skin color. That sounds racist. Right. Except this girl is completely white. Even whiter than you or me. I see. She is indeed a target of bigotry. Though not the same kind my mother Lucy would suffer from. I thought your mother's name was Jessica. Oh, I actually have two mothers, Jessica and Lucy. They are a lesbian couple. They are also interracial. Lucy is black, Jessica is white. Well, I am lesbian myself. I'd love to hear the story of how your mothers met. And were you born to them, or adopted? I was adopted by my parents when I was 3 years old. I was born to them. So, what happened to your original parents? Oops. Time to return to class. But take this. That's my home address. You are welcome to visit. And maybe even bring your other friend too. Thank you for accepting my application to work here.
I was a bit puzzled as to why you were willing to settle for being a mere secretary, given your excellent academic background as a law student and then an attorney. But then I read about what happened to your husband. My condolences. I can assure you, as soon as we get an opening, we will promote you to a full member of our law firm.
No need to rush. As long as you keep me busy and pay me, I will handle the tons of paperwork here. After all, there are no lowly jobs. Only lowly people.
Good afternoon, class. I am Peter Hernandez, and I will be your math teacher. For you 7th graders, we will be covering a course titled Algebra Phase 1. Algebra Phase 2 will be covered in the 9th grade, with geometry in 8th grade.
Mr. Hernandez, are you related to the history teacher we had earlier?
Yes. She is my wife. But let us proceed with today's lesson. Open your textbooks to page 2 to begin.
Trust me, Debbie, you should never take the school bus. Bullies often take advantage of the lack of security to threaten other kids. It's always safer to walk home in groups like us. Ophelia, are you okay? Yes, I am fine. But where are we going? My apartment complex is in the opposite direction. You can call your mother and ask her to pick you up from our destination. Hello, Carrie. So how was school today? It was fine. I have already made a couple of friends there. These are Debbie Smith and Ophelia May. Come on in and have a seat. Friends of my daughter are always welcome here. Thank you for your hospitality. It's so convenient that this restaurant is just down the street from the school, eh? Yes, but I can't afford to eat here. I spent all the cash in my pocket at the school cafeteria. Since I am the owner of this restaurant, I can serve you a small pizza for free to celebrate you having your first day of school. What topping would you like? I'd like pepperoni, please. I'm actually a vegetarian, so I will decline the offer. I'm just waiting for my mother to arrive. I'll bring you some breadsticks instead. Then the pizza will be out in a few minutes. Ophelia then calls her mother and gives her the address to the Tuscany Tavern. Note, the part of Ophelia's mother will be played by Victoria. Welcome to the Tuscany Tavern. What can I get you? I am just here to pick up my daughter Ophelia. She said she was here. I see she is eating with a friend. How much for the meal? It's actually free. Your daughter said she had no cash on her. Thank you. You are most kind. But at least let me give you a tip for feeding her. So how was the pizza? It was great. But why didn't you want any? I actually suffer from lactose intolerance. Eating or drinking anything dairy gives me severe indigestion. So I am on a restricted diet. That sucks. Here comes my mother Jessica. So did you have any problems at school, Carrie? No. I even made some new friends. Debbie here is one of them. Just don't get into trouble like you often did in elementary school. It seems you hit your rebellious phase much earlier than most kids. You know why that happened and I don't want to talk about that again. Now let's go. Gee, What was that all about? Could Carrie be a problem for me later? Sandy Smith arrives at the Tuscany Tavern to pick up Debbie.
Welcome to the Tuscany Tavern. What can I get you?
I'm Sandy Smith and I'm here to pick up my daughter Debbie. She said she was here.
Yes, she is over there with my daughter.
I see. Well, thanks for feeding her. Here's a tip for that.
Wow, I actually made quite a profit today. I hope I see a lot more of Mrs. Smith and Mrs. May here.
Debbie, you shouldn't have gone off with those girls. Why didn't you take the school bus? Because Carrie said the buses were not safe. That's strange. Well, tomorrow I think you should take the school bus. If they were indeed dangerous, the school wouldn't use them to transport kids to and from school. And you don't know this Carrie girl. She could have led you into a dangerous situation. You really need to be more careful. All right. Also, could you please get me a cell phone? Most of the kids at school have one now. If most of the kids at school were also smoking crack, would you join them? Mother. I'm so tired of my mother's overprotective attitude. Ever since father was killed, it seems she can't trust me, or anyone else. I feel like I am suffocating because of her. So my mother insists that I take the school bus and go directly home this time. Well, if you are taking the bus, I will go with you. Last school year, I had to deal with a ruthless bully named Ted Wilson. I was hoping I wouldn't see him here this year. But there he is. And he does ride the school buses. Wow, he is huge. He could be on the football team. He does play football. And uses his influence as a jock to intimidate others.
Hey, you wimp, you should be paying me protection money. Protection money? What do I need protection from? What I will do to you if you don't pay me. My father is the principal, so that means I run this school too. All right. Here's $10. Good, you are a smart kid. Now get out.
And now you will see why I so often got detention in elementary school. Here I go again. Give that boy back his money. Right now.
Make me, bitch.
My pleasure, asshole.
How the hell are you so strong? You hit like a truck. All right, nerd, here's your money back. Thanks for defending me.
No problem. Oh, no.
Young lady, you come with me now. Starting a fight on school grounds gets you detention.
Carrie, may I join you? If you are going to be confined unjustly, at least let me share the punishment with you. Thank you. At least now I won't be so bored here. Debbie and Carrie stay in detention together for the rest of the school day, and they miss the school buses that would have taken them to their homes. Eventually. You did what? Yeah, because I grew up with a mother who was black, lesbian, an atheist, and I love her so much, I always stick up for anyone else who is abused and threatened like she herself was. She told me stories about how she and other black people, other LGBT people, and other atheists were scorned by bigots. And Carrie, I just spoke to the principal and he will let me take you home now. Thanks. And can you take Debbie to her home too? Mother, what are we going to do? That school is corrupt. The principal is the father of one of the students, and that student takes advantage of that to bully others. I only feel safe there because of Carrie. She is not afraid of the bully. But I am. Then be thankful that I am a lawyer and can sue the school over allowing that abuse. But we need evidence. And for that, a new cell phone. Thank you. Promise me you will take good care of it and won't lose it. If it gets lost or damaged in a few months, I will not replace it for at least a year. You need to learn responsibility for such vital equipment. Of course, Mother. That is an old-style flip phone, but it does have a built-in camera. If this bully is seen threatening anyone else, you can use your phone to take pics of him in the act and show me the pics later. Hello? Carrie, this is Debbie. My mother finally allowed me to have my own cell phone. Awesome. I'll save your new number on my phone for future reference. Mother also agrees that we need to put a stop to Ted Wilson's bullying. We just have to figure out how. Okay, meet me at school tomorrow and we will discuss it. Carrie, I am really worried about you continuing to pick fights with others. I only fight with people who are already hurting others. I was taught to stand up for myself and others by you and Mother Lucy, remember? Yes, and while you may think you're tough, you are not invincible. Someday, you may pick on the wrong person at the wrong time and end up in hospital.
I agree that Carrie should be more careful. But we can't let bad and unjust acts go unchallenged. This Ted Wilson shouldn't be attending a school his own father is principal of. That's a conflict of interest for the father.
Exactly. They both are to blame.
I have an idea. How about we invite the parents of Debbie, Ophelia, and Samir to the Tuscany Tavern to talk about Ted Wilson and his father? We can meet up after the restaurant is closed on a Friday or Saturday night. And even offer them pizza for free.
Sure, maybe we can all agree on a solution and work together to end this problem once and for all. Thanks for hosting this meeting.
You're welcome. Have a seat and we will begin. Welcome, all of you, to the Tuscany Tavern. Let us start with introductions. I am Lucy Sims, the owner of this restaurant.
And I am Jessica Sims, Carrie's birth mother and Lucy's wife. And I, of course, am Carrie Sims. I am Sandy Smith. And this is my daughter, Debbie. I am Victoria May and this is my daughter, Ophelia. Hello.
And I am Sebastian Aria. Samir is my son.
I have asked Sandy Smith for legal advice, since she is a lawyer. So what are we to do in this case we are facing?
As I told Debbie, I think the kids should closely monitor Ted Wilson's activities to catch him in the act of bullying others, then record those acts on their cell phones and submit the footage to me as evidence. Then we can file a lawsuit against the school because of the principal, Harold Wilson, enabling his son's behavior. Mr. Wilson should be fired. Or at least, his son Ted must be transferred to another school to end this totally needless conflict. Mr. Era, my daughter says your son has been insulting her at school, calling her ghost girl or some other such nonsense because of her albinism. To me, that is also a form of bullying. I want it stopped.
Samir, is that true? You owe that girl an apology. I didn't raise you to be a bigot.
Yeah. After I was picked on by Ted Wilson, you could say I got a taste of my own medicine, didn't I? I'm sorry for disrespecting you. It won't happen again.
Oh, I'll make sure of that. Well, I'm satisfied now. Next week we start dealing with the bigger problem. I'm glad we got that meeting together last night. But it really shouldn't have come to that. We should be able to trust the teachers and principal of a school to enforce the rules fairly and protect us from bullies. You seem like such a nice girl. My mother was worried you might be a bully or even a gang member. Yeah, well, I did join a gang when I was in 5th grade. This older girl named Martha said I could join with her and she would protect me. But then she turned out to be a bully against those outside the gang, and she and the others were actually criminals. I got arrested a couple of times, and then my mother's had to straighten me out. I eventually exposed Martha and got her gang busted up. I wasn't trying to be a bad person, but I was confused because Martha took advantage of me. You learned from your mistakes. And so did Samir. I felt so good after putting an end to Martha's gang, and also when I beat on Ted Wilson. He was a menace in elementary school, but I feared him just as I feared Martha. But no one will ever frighten me again. You think Ted Wilson could also become a better person? No. Not as long as his father enables his bullying out of a misguided sense of love for his son. That's the difference between me and him, really. My mothers disciplined me themselves and made sure I understood clearly why what Martha and the others were doing was wrong. And they were not hypocrites themselves, so I remained loyal to them.
I was shocked when Ophelia hit me in front of my father at the restaurant. I apologized already for offending her.
Don't be ridiculous. If you apologize purely to avoid punishment, then your apology wasn't sincere. You should be glad your father told you to apologize. If he hadn't, we might have punished you even worse. You mean like what we intend to do to Ted Wilson? I'm guessing this Ted Wilson is a chronic bully? I heard about what happened at the cafeteria last week, and Principal Wilson was saying you suddenly assaulted his son, Carrie. Was that not true? You and your big mouth. He was trying to rob Samir of his lunch money, but I stopped him. I think picking fights with robbers and other crooks should be tolerated, even in school. But taking justice into your own hands can also cause problems. What if an innocent person is accused of a crime and punished by a mob of vigilantes? That's also bullying and being criminal. Now what?
Attention all students and teachers of the school. This is Principal Wilson speaking. During third period, you all must gather in the auditorium for a special presentation. This is mandatory.
Last year he had 7 such conferences, and he repeatedly interrupted our class schedules instead of planning them well in advance. What will this one be about? The entire student body and the faculty of the school have gathered at the auditorium to hear a speech by the school's principal.
Welcome, everyone. There have been complaints of lack of security on the school grounds and even on school buses. So I have come up with a solution. I will appoint certain students as hall monitors to watch other students and report to me any problems.
I'd love to be a hall monitor, then I could take on bullies like Ted Wilson on an official basis.
The following students will be appointed as hall monitors: Scott Miller, Lisa Grimes, Fred Handley, Dinah Croak, and Ted Wilson.
What? Oh, no. No. Yeah, you don't appoint a bully to any position of authority. It's lawsuit time.
Carla has complained about Principal Wilson before, but this is the worst we have seen from him yet. Appointing his own son to be a hall monitor is questionable. Nepotism is a form of discrimination that enables other acts of corruption. And now you say you have witnessed Ted Wilson threatening and attempting to rob another student?
That's right. Some of us have already formed a group devoted to watching out for and attempting to stop Ted Wilson. One of us, my mother, is a lawyer who said if we get evidence of Ted's bad behavior, a lawsuit can be filed over it.
I agree. So I will join your group. I'll talk with Carla about it too.
Peter, we need to talk. I'm guessing Debbie has beaten me to it, but I agree that we need to do something about Ted Wilson and the principal.
Then let us have a meeting this evening about the matter. Debbie, you said your mother is a lawyer. Can you come to our place and bring her too?
Yes, sir. Just give me the details and I will tell her to come to you. Sandy and Debbie come to the home of the Hernandez family. Thank you for coming to our home. So if we file a lawsuit, could you represent us? I'm actually not licensed to practice law in Texas yet. We moved from Oklahoma a month ago. But I did tell my supervisor at the law firm I work for about the matter.
Hello, I am Wayne Williams, attorney at law. Sandy Smith asked me to come here and offer you legal assistance.
Thank you. Come inside.
I don't think I've seen you at my school. Of course not. My parents are both teachers at your middle school, so it would be unethical for them to also be my teachers. They send me to a different school instead. So when I heard about Ted Wilson attending a school his own father is principal of, that raised a giant red flag.
You and your daughter were right to bring this to my attention. We will start interviewing possible witnesses to get sworn statements from them and then explore our legal options.
We should talk to the superintendent of the entire school district. He is Principal Wilson's superior just as the principal is our superior. We can make a strong case for Mr. Wilson to be fired for showing such blatant favoritism for his son.
Peter, that may not work for us. Because the superintendent is Fred Wilson. He and Principal Charles Wilson are brothers.
Oh, that's right. He may be biased in favor of his brother and nephew.
What the hell? So the nepotism goes all the way up. Let's go ahead and take legal action.
Over the course of the next couple of weeks, Wayne Williams and Sandy Smith interview many witnesses, taking detailed statements about the activities of Principal Charles Wilson and his son Ted. And the kids at school help to gather evidence. Mother, here is a short video I took of Ted Wilson today. I took it with my phone, just as you suggested. So Ted forced that poor girl to give him money. Right, just like what he tried to do to Samir weeks ago. His behavior since becoming a hall monitor has only gotten worse. What's the point of having hall monitors if they make us feel less safe? Scott, I know you were made a hall monitor, along with Ted Wilson. He is known to be a bully. But what about you? Can you be trusted, or are you like him?
Absolutely not. My mother would kill me if she knew I was bullying others. She raised me to care for my little sister, and so I am also protective of others like her. I have already seen how Ted treats others. I am more than happy to put an end to his crap.
And so Carrie gains a new ally. She starts for home in a happy mood, but then... Suddenly, Carrie is attacked from behind. And when she turns around... Martha. What are you doing here? It's not obvious? You betrayed me and got my ass thrown in jail. I swore you would pay for that. Say whatever you like, but my loyalty is to my mother's, as it always should have been. Get the hell away from me. Despite being younger and smaller than Martha, Carrie proceeds to pound and kick relentlessly at her until Martha finally backs away in shock. If you ever mess with me again, I'll just have you jailed again. You should know my aunt is a cop, all right? And she knows you. Holy shit, she is not the submissive little girl she was a couple of years ago. And if I can't intimidate her, my reputation as a gang leader is ruined. Sandy goes to visit Fred Wilson, the superintendent of the school district.
So, what can I do for you, Mrs. Smith?
You can accept this and then appear in court to explain yourself.
My district is being sued? Why?
Just read the complaint and summons. You, your brother and nephew had better get a lawyer.
Oh my God.
The following week, the concerned parties meet to discuss the case.
You say you want to make a settlement with us? Why? Because you are afraid of the truth about the corruption you enabled coming out before the public? I made some serious mistakes, yes. But I didn't directly cause the corruption you mention. I did enable it, though. But after today, no longer. Harold Charles Wilson, you were fired. What? How can you do that? We are family. It's precisely because we are brothers and Ted is my nephew that I am so outraged about this. I thought I could trust you, but now that I know you were having Ted attend the same school you are in charge of, that shows I was mistaken. You made me look bad too. So you are now fired and Ted will be expelled from that school. And I will ban you both from my house this Thanksgiving and this Christmas. You're taking advantage of our family ties is unacceptable.
You wanted to see me, Mr. Wilson?
Yes. Please accept my apologies for what my brother and nephew were doing here. I want to make sure that sort of shit won't be repeated. So, based on your records of service as a teacher, I will appoint you to be the principal of this school.
Thank you! I still have classes to teach today, but I will gladly take up the new duties tomorrow.
Call me cynical, but I think the superintendent fired his brother to save his own skin. That's sort of what I did when I turned on Martha and her gang when I was in 6th grade. I didn't want to be punished for being one of her gang members once I knew of their criminal activities. You still did the right thing, as did the superintendent, so I am satisfied with the outcome.
So that's what happened. I want revenge on Carrie Sims. And those others that humiliated me and my father.
You are welcome to join my new gang. I'm sure once we make an example of Carrie, that will scare the others.